Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second edition of our Buffalo Bills podcast. Today, we will be analyzing what went wrong in the Bills' 24-18 loss to the Bengals on Sunday night. Now, I'd like to welcome my friend Adrian.
What's up, everyone?
All right. So, clearly, a lot of things went wrong in this loss to the Bengals. It was not a good loss. Our odds to make the playoffs are now down around 50% now. Um, What do you think was the main thing that went wrong for us in this loss?
Um, well, obviously a lot went wrong. Like, obviously it's not like losing any game is not good, but like this game in specific, like I think there were I just think overall as a team we weren't up to the level of the Bengals. I don't think this was really an issue on like lack of effort, like just players just not playing well. I just don't think that we're good as the Cincinnati Bengals. On defense, we in the first half we weren't able to slow them down at all. They had 21 points in the first half, which they went down the field too easy on us. And another thing on offense, it's again the same story where it's like Josh has no help really, especially from his run game, where James Cook isn't even like getting going. He's kind of like having to throw to Diggs as always. He's always going to be trying to force it to Diggs, and it's not really a recipe for wins in the NFL.
To me, there were three big plays that really determined the game. The first one was when we were in the Bengals territory and Allen threw a pass to Kincaid and he had the ball initially, then he dropped the ball. That's the first big
Yeah,
play because it
yeah,
was in the fourth quarter. We could have gotten some points there. That was not really bad. That was like a big turning point for me in the game. Second one was really the first two drives of the game, just being unable to stop the Bengals. Like we need to set a better tone at the beginning of games. We can't just like it feels like these last couple of weeks, really last like 4 or 5 weeks, we've been going down early and haven't been able to like fully recover like quick enough. That's the second one. And third one was what you just mentioned, just um the inability to run the ball. Like I've seen way too many plays this year where we're giving it to James Cook and he's trying to like run through the defense. Like it never works. So, that has to be improved. And I think that's in my opinion that's reflective of our offensive play calling there because, they keep I can't I don't understand why they keep running the same play with James Cook. Like you have to change things up there. What do you think?
I definitely agree because as you saw, like whenever we tried to run to James Cook, it was like we weren't really trying to mix it up like at all. It was like we would just hand it off and then tell him like to try to run between the tackles, which he's not that kind of running back. I think he's like more of a dynamic kind of player. You want to throw the ball to him like into space, like, and he's not like a guy that's gonna like plow through people between like the line. But I just think that yeah, that's on coaching. I think on Dorsey's part because um like first off, the fact that he's not scheming James Cook like in the runs that he's supposed to be making, and also because we're calling too many run plays that when we should be trying to open up the passing game to like Kincaid or Davis, who we'll get to later, and Shakir, who like all could be making plays, but it seems like we don't want to use them.
Yeah, with James Cook, you just mentioned how he could be the type of player who like catches the ball and then goes for a run. That happened a couple times in the game on Sunday against the Bengals, and that's when you see him most successful. The fact that that play is not being like run more often is, it doesn't make sense. And yeah, we don't. He's not the type of running back. He's not like Barkley, Saquon Barkley, where he could like slur through the defensive line of the opposing team. Um, we got to stop, running this play here. And I would probably have Allen run the ball more, to be honest. Like there was a play last night where He was wide open. He threw the ball to the receiver. It was that play that the Bills challenged where the guy dropped the ball. To me,
Yeah,
that's a spot. That's a spot where Allen could have like run for a couple of yards, maybe gotten the first down there. There has to be like more variety in plays. It can't be the same play with Cook and then, keep throwing to Diggs or, we have to change it up here.
I agree too because I definitely agree when you say Allen needs to run more because like in years past, like let's say for example 2020, his legs were deadly. Like teams would fear Allen running the ball. And it seems like now like we're shifting towards like, we don't want to get him hurt, so like we're not gonna run him as much. But at this point, like we already have so many injuries. Like we already like are kind of like the season's kind of getting away from us. Why like just be conservative? Run Allen. Like that's what's gonna help us win games. Like he can like him running more often, like in smart situations, like when he's like let's say he's designed to run. Like I think that'll help the team a lot because he is like fast and strong, and I don't know. I think that like on like our coaching staff needs to understand that a little bit, and it's kind of frustrating watching like James Cook getting like the workload, and then like for
Being unable
he's
to
our
do
running
it.
game. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And Allen is sitting right there. I'm like, I think why don't you give him a chance to run the ball? He's pretty good at it. That's just my opinion on that.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind also, as you said, in like 2020 and 2021, Dable was the offensive coordinator, and you saw he was running the ball. That's when Allen was at his best. He was, there were a lot of diversity in the plays they were running. You'd have Allen running the ball, you'd have Allen throwing the ball, you'd have like, there's not enough diversity right now. And also, you saw last year when Dable became the Giants head coach. Last year he had Jones basically do what Allen was doing in 2021, and there was a reason they were successful last year. It hasn't worked this year, but that's probably not Jones' fault. That's because of their offensive line, the Giants. But yeah, our coaching staff has not made like an adjustment. They haven't, it's unacceptable. We have to change things up here.
Yeah, for sure, because it's getting late into the season, and at this point, if we don't change something, we're just going to keep going through the like going on the same trajectory that we're going, which is losing games. And eventually, I think that like look for the defense. I think that it's like not really their fault because there have been like countless injuries on that defense, and honestly, I just it's kind of falling apart. They're getting really slow and sluggish, and honestly, it's kind of sad watching them. But at the offense, I feel like there's not really much of an excuse. Like all this, like most of those players on that team, on that offense, are young, talented, and have just abilities to make plays. And I don't know. I feel like as an offense, we are going up to our full potential. I,
Yeah,
I
I
yeah,
agree. One thing about the offense here, Kincaid did have a good game despite dropping the ball late in the game, which was big, but
yes,
otherwise he had a good game, so that's good to see. If we could get him into the mix more, like, we have Diggs, Kincaid, maybe we could get Davis into the game mix a little more. There's room for diversity. There's room to we have receivers here. We just gotta Allen has to start targeting like I think he should target Kincaid a little more. Um, you know, hopefully that leads to less double teaming of Diggs or maybe an easier path for Diggs to get the ball because just targeting Diggs will, obviously not work eventually because opposing defenses will adjust.
yeah, for sure. Um, on that note, I do think yeah, Kincaid definitely he balled out today. Like the fumble was costly, but I think that was just a little unlucky. I don't think he was really like. I mean, of course, it's his fault, but I don't think that we should like criticize him for that.
It was a good
But
tackle.
that's true. Yeah, he punched out the ball. It was a good play by him. Whatever, it's fine. Like, but honestly, like getting late into the season, it's just getting kind of frustrating how we're just not really getting any better. Like, I mean, I feel like maybe this past game, like Dorsey, who's Dorsey, I think he maybe tried a little bit to get Kincaid more involved because, yeah, as you said, like he had a good game, but I think that it just needs to be more. Like it, I don't know. We need more on offense, and
Yeah.
going into the postseason, I don't think that it's going to work out like at the current rate that we're going at. That's just me.
Yeah, and one thing that's, in my opinion, particularly frustrating is that I thought there were some drives in the first quarter and the fourth quarter that were really good. Like, I thought those were the best drives in the game. Then in the middle, our offense was just like non-existent. And, there was a turnover by Allen, um, which we were actually able to prevent any points from being scored by the Bengals there. Good job by the defense, but
Yeah.
there's too much there's too much of nothing from the offense in the middle of games. It's which has to be fixed because as you said, we can't expect to beat like the Chiefs or even the Dolphins or the Jets in a playoff game or the Ravens or something in a playoff game if we only play like 2 out of 4 quarters well. It's we're too inconsistent right now and I think that's really on everyone, especially the coaching.
For sure, definitely. It's also just frustrating because it seems like at the moment we're 5-4, and I feel like, uh, yeah, the playoffs. I still think that we will make the playoffs, even if it's like going to be ugly and we're going to struggle to make the playoffs. But I don't know, like, it does worry me because like we have a pretty rough patch in our schedule in the upcoming weeks. So we have Broncos next, which that should be a lighter game.
A get
If
well
we don't,
game.
yes, exactly. If we don't get like that game, if we don't play well and like set the tone and try to get everyone involved and like just overall not dom, you don't have to dominate, but like have a convincing win. It's gonna be a really bad look on this team, and honestly, the season might be over after that. So um, overall, I just think that okay. Yeah, I just think that overall, this team needs to like just figure it out later on because at the moment we're not looking good going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think the thing that makes it most frustrating is when you look at our schedule so far, we did not take advantage enough of like the easy games like the Patriots. And I really thought we could have beaten the Bengals. We were in it the whole game, and this was an important game, so that's disappointing. We have to take care of the Broncos. And one thing that's good though is that we play one game against the Dolphins and we play one game against the Jets. We have those 2 games remaining. So we can control, some of what happens, especially in our
Yeah,
division. So if we could get a win versus both of those teams, maybe we could, by some miracle get win the division or maybe finish second. The Jets are losing right now to
yeah.
the Chargers, so that's good for us. If they lose, we'll be in second place and the Jets will be in third. How do you think that our defense did overall with stopping Joe Burrow and stopping, overall that entire offense?
Um, like I think I touched on it before. I don't think that like first off, I don't think it's really their fault too much on like the fact that they weren't able to really stop Burrow on like the first couple of drives. I think they were kind of just walking all over our defense. But at the same time, it's just not good enough. Like injuries or not, like this just it's unacceptable the way that we're playing. Like it seems like we're slow on defense. Like uh, Burrow was just able to like pick apart our like entire defense. It wasn't like a really like a one man. It wasn't like just Chase like just cutting us up. It wasn't like just Higgins. It wasn't just Joe Mixon, the running back. It was everyone. They were just like all around dominating our defense, which I think that's concerning. Like because that those are the kinds of teams that we're going to be playing in the playoffs. Like if we make it, And the fact that we weren't really able to stop them. Like, yeah, in the second half, we did a lot better. Like, only held them to 3 points in the second half. But by then, like, we were already out of the game. So, like, I don't think that really says much. Overall, I think pretty disappointing performance from the defense. Like, I think some of these older guys, I feel like they need to be putting in more, like, just like more solid performances. Because right now, we look sluggish. We look unprepared, and it's not a good look. Not good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the thing that I'm most disappointed in is just the first quarter because really the first two drives of the game and we couldn't stop them, and that's like they scored 14 with the first two drives of the game. The rest of the game they scored 10. Now you're right, the whole game like it wasn't like that. They were moving the ball up and down the field way better than our offense, and I thought the defense could have played better. But I think the thing that has to be questioned most here is why did we get off to such a slow start, and why does this keep happening? Because if even if we were able to like stop them one of the first two drives, we could have won the game if we did that.
That's
The
true.
first
Yeah,
two drives like just made it. We're already struggling offensively. The first when you go down, 7-0, then we actually tied it, but then they allow another touchdown right away. It makes it much harder for our offense. So I
yeah,
think that's a big issue.
yeah. About that, I think that you made a good point. How we scored, actually, our offense actually did something. Like right after they Bengals just went down the field, tore through our defense, we matched that and like put together a really good drive of our own. And then our defense lets up another just dominant drive from the Bengals, and it's just like, well, we need to like I don't know. It's just frustrating in that sense because even when our like offense like does something good, then the defense is there to ruin it like right away early. Like, or let's say our offense is like sluggish really early, and then our defense is there to like help us. So like to me, wait, I said that wrong. No, like for example, in the Patriots game, like our off our offense just did not like this was not clicking like at all in that game. Like early, like we and starting off the game was not good, but our defense was able to like stop them. So that's why we're able to stay in these games. But against better teams, when we go on like to play them, like in the playoffs, I don't think that we're going to be that lucky. And the Bengals were able to take advantage of that today, also.
Yeah, I agree. What you just said also reminded me of the 2021 game versus the Chiefs, where our offense scores all the touchdowns, especially in the fourth quarter. And what happens like immediately after we take the lead, they allow in 13 seconds Mahomes to drive up the field, and earlier before that they allowed a touchdown. So you're right. When our offense is actually doing well, like our defense is not doing well. So there's no consistency here, and we're not in unison enough. This team, and if we can't fix that for the playoffs, it's going to be a quick exit, especially offensively, because there are some good defensive teams in the playoffs. Like the Jets could be there, the Browns could be there. If we play either of those teams and we can't score against the Patriots or even the Bengals, who I don't think are as good defensively as like the Browns or Jets, we're really gonna have trouble in the playoffs, and specifically for the Jets. Maybe if Rodgers is back, we could be in trouble here. So we really gotta like tighten things up down the stretch. Hopefully we could win against the Broncos, and then who knows what. As you said earlier, we have to. It's a tough schedule. We have to play the Cowboys, Eagles, Chiefs. I think we play one against the Dolphins, one against the Jets, and we have a game remaining against the Patriots. In order to make the playoffs, I think we're gonna need like 10 wins probably at least. So
At least, yeah.
we gotta win like 5 of the next 7 to make the playoffs, and that's a lot to ask for. But I don't know. I agree with you. I think they're gonna make the playoffs because I think I'm not high on the Browns, nor am I on the Steelers. I think both of those teams will probably drop out, and I think we could potentially seize control of a spot that way. Um, but we gotta win. We can't keep losing now because if we keep losing, then you know if we lose to the Broncos, season's over, as you said. I don't see how we could recover from that.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think you're definitely right on the fact that we need to start stacking some wins eventually. Like even if like on the performance side, like obviously like I also like want to have like good performances to show that like we can get it done in the playoffs. Like let's say like we squeak by the Broncos. Let's say like we barely beat them. Like that'll be like okay, that's a win. But at the
Not
same
an
time,
encouraging win.
exactly. Like we need to prove that we can like uh dominate the bad teams and play like a clean football against good teams. And even though but at this point in the season, like last season, I would be like asking for good performances. Like, but this season, like just to get into the playoffs, like it's like a whole different thing. Now it's just win the game because that's really all that matters right now. Because like we're in a playoff race. Like seasons past, we like division race, one seed race. Like, but this season, I don't know. It's kind of frustrating how we're just not up to the standards that we could be playing at, and we've put ourselves in a position where like we kind of have to just win our games. Like no matter how tough they're gonna be, we're gonna have to find a way to win them. And sadly, we weren't able to take advantage, like you said, of the easy part of our schedule. Like when we're playing teams like the Patriots and who else? Like the Bucks and the Commanders, the Raiders. Yeah, we won some of those games, but 5-4, not looking good. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. Now, the only good thing about this is we have control, I think, of what could happen. As I said earlier, we play the Broncos, which I think could be a win. I think the Jets could be a win. I do
Yeah.
think the Eagles will be a loss. Chiefs,
Yes.
let's just say loss. I think they could beat the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Chargers, I think they could beat. Patriots, they could beat, and Dolphins, they could beat. They're really the only two teams here that are, I think, tough to beat would be the Chiefs and Eagles. But, if the other teams, these are like teams that won't make the playoffs or fringe playoff teams like the Jets and Dolphins and Cowboys who always get eliminated in the playoffs. So we do have some control over what happens, but as you said, we're gonna need to start winning. Um, to wrap things up, Adrian, what would you
Yeah.
say? What would you say is a key to the rest of the season? Like, which player has to play well in the rest of the season for us to do well?
Um, I'll actually bring up a few names here. Well, first off, let me just say, obviously, the main man, Josh, I'll just say because he's our quarterback, the franchise quarterback, the leader of this team, and um, even though he doesn't have that much help right now, I feel like he's struggling out there. Like, and it's not always his fault, obviously, because his play calling has not been great. His receivers haven't been showing up in big games. But I think that he really like if he wants to forget if he wants to be considered as an elite quarterback, like if he wants to get his team into the playoffs, he's gonna have to make big plays. Like whether that's with the help of the receivers or not. I think that he's just gonna have to put his team on the back and win the games. Another name that I'll bring up is Gabe Davis because at the moment, Gabe Davis is our number two receiver. Like I would say, and most Bills fans would say, and he's just not really playing all that great. Like he's made some catches here and there, but he has not been consistent enough to be our number two receiver. I feel like we've been saying it all year, and that's why we said that they should trade for a receiver at the deadline. But it's too late for that. And at this point, we just gotta hope that Gabe Davis is able to make enough plays for us when we need him. And one more name that I'll bring up is how about Von Miller? Like Von Miller, who we signed two no last off season, or two off seasons ago. Or I don't know how to say that, but he hasn't we signed him for a bunch of money, and he got his injury last season, and like he's come back, and he hasn't really affected the defense at all. Like like was he even on the field yesterday? He was, but you couldn't tell. But I feel like he was supposed to be one of the pieces to put us over the top, and he hasn't really been all that great. And I think just overall, another just to wrap it up, Sean McDermott needs to step up because as the head coach, you can't let this team miss the playoffs. That'll be only the second time in the McDermott era that the Bills have missed the playoffs, and honestly, that can't happen. I'm not looking forward to the Bills missing the playoffs. I don't think that we will, but it can't happen. I don't know about you.
Yeah, for me, um Gabe Davis because I think the in order for us to I'll say either Gabe Davis or Kincaid, one of those two. If one of those two guys could start like balling, if one of them could start like actually stepping up, I think our offense last night, as you saw, was most in rhythm when either Kincaid or Davis was catching it, and they were
Yes.
playing well. So I think the key is for another wide receiver to step up. All right, thank you everybody for listening to our second Buffalo Bills podcast. Um, have a good one.